Welcome to the Are PPS Podcast. This is the place we connect with the incredible staff, students, and community partners working to make Pittsburgh Public Schools one of America's premier school districts, student-focused, well-managed, and innovative. I'm your host, Ebony Pugh. This past April, a groundbreaking collaborative initiative was launched between Pittsburgh Public Schools, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the NCAA Eligibility Center. Its mission to increase the number of PPS student athletes eligible to compete at the collegiate level. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by a stellar panel of guests. We have PPS Director of Interscholastic Athletics, Carrie Arnold, our Director of Student Support Services, School Counselors, Carrie Woodard. Representing our partners, we welcome Pittsburgh Steelers Senior Manager and Alumni Relations in Youth Football, Mike Marchinsky. And Ivorye Long, Assistant Director of Outreach and Strategic Partnerships with the NCAA Eligibility Center. So we're doing things a little differently today on the podcast. We have the privilege of hosting actual student athletes in our audience. In addition to my questions for our guests, we will open the floor to student questions as well. Students, when you're ready to ask a question, please come up to the standing microphone so everyone can hear you clearly. I'll get us started with the first round of questions for each of our participants. Ms. Arnold, so can you tell us what inspired PPS to pursue this collaboration with the Steelers and the NCAA Eligibility Center? How did it get started?
So this was actually a conversation with myself and Mike Marchinsky. He reached out to me one day, so he's going to fill in some of the gaps here, and said, hey, we were on a league call with the NFL, and the Eligibility Center came to us and said, and then I'll chime back in. Go ahead, Mike, and talk about it.
Yeah, so the NFL has different strategic partners to help grow the game of football, whether that is on the field with athletes, both boys and girls, or it's coaching education, or it's various partners that help in this way, which was getting students enrolled in college. So Pittsburgh was one of the markets that was a little bit behind the curve in terms of getting kids eligible right as a freshman athlete in college. So the one place that I thought we could help the most with the most student athletes in Pittsburgh market was Pittsburgh Public Schools. So came to Karen to offer the program, and we did ours a little bit differently. A lot of the NCAA Eligibility Center folks that were working with other clubs, they were just hosting events where they would bring in a speaker from the NCAA Eligibility Center to one of their existing events. We wanted to utilize our brand a little bit more to get the kids' attention in the school, in a library, in an office, in the athletic office, and make up some posters with a QR code that would have our logo on it and really grab those kids' attention so they can just scan it and go and then do that enrollment. So Karen's been a perfect partner, and Carrie's been awesome, and we've been able to grow the opportunity a little bit.
So we presented this information to our executive leadership group almost a year ago, or 2 years ago, I should say, and then created a memorandum of understanding. And I'm happy to announce and say this, and I've said this before, that this is the first of the kind MOU between an NFL team and the NCAA Eligibility Center with a school district in the country. So this is something where we've had previously conversations with our school-based athletic directors, which are our faculty managers of athletics, our school counselors, and today, later on, we're actually going to go speak to the middle school and high school principals to loop them in on this conversation. And then, of course, we had presentations last year at Brashear and Alderdice to engage with our students and our parents in that realm as well. So, and then the posters we have, there should be some posters floating around the building. I have more that if your school needs them or any other school needs them, please reach out to me, and I will certainly get them where they need to be so that students can engage and parents can engage with the Eligibility Center.
Thank you. Yeah, we are so grateful. The Pittsburgh Steelers have continued to be a great partner with the school district. I'm really appreciative and thankful of their collaboration in this effort. So Ms. Woodard, Carrie Woodard, can you elaborate on how this initiative aligns with our broader goals for student success?
Sure. I think it aligns seamlessly. Our broader goal of the district is wanting to provide equitable opportunities to all students, but in particularly, we want to make sure that our underserved students are getting the same opportunities as anyone else. So we're really focusing on academic success and making sure that our student athletes have everything that they need in order to be successful after they graduate high school and they're going on to the next thing. We want to make sure that there's no hiccups and that you're good to go. So it really aligns really well. Yeah.
So Ivorye, in 2022, Pennsylvania ranked 6th in the nation for non-qualifiers. That is student athletes who do not meet the NCAA's requirements to play at the collegiate level, with Pittsburgh accounting for 5.71% of the state's non-qualifiers. What are the most common barriers student athletes face when trying to meet NCAA eligibility requirements?
I think one of the most common barriers is just the awareness and knowledge of the process. When I talk to student athletes and families, most of them say, I had no idea this was even a thing, or I had no idea my student athlete had to meet these requirements. So knowledge and awareness, one. The next one is student athletes not taking NCAA core courses, or they're waiting to their junior or senior year to take those courses, so then they become a little bit behind. And then also not meeting the NCAA GPA requirement to be eligible to play at the next level. So I would say those are a few of the most common barriers.
And Mike, what message do you hope this collaboration sends to student athletes and their families?
Well, the Pittsburgh Steelers, we're a fan of any sport. Obviously, football is our main sport. So whether that's youth football, high school football, girls flag football, but we encourage students to play as many sports as possible. There are so many opportunities in college to enhance your education and play for an additional 4 years. Not everyone's going to be a Pittsburgh Steeler or pick a different team of choice, but not everyone's may reach those goals. But there's so many opportunities to play college sports at any level, so Division I, Division II, and Division III. This Eligibility Center helps kids be aware that if you get in the process early and you can start to take your core classes and you make sure your grade point average, not only do you increase your chance of playing early as a freshman, but it'll help you get into a Division III school if you can't get into D1 or D2, because you have these grades and you have these core courses. And it's not just about the eligibility, right? So it's preparing you academically for success. So if you're going in as a 7th grader, 8th grader, and you're taking the proper courses, 9th grader, 10th grader, you're ready to graduate, not even worrying about college athletics. So I think our goal was just to say, hey, athletics are a great tool to keep your future open, whether that is college, trades, or whatever. But as long as you prepare yourself to have great grade point average, take the great classes, and control what you can control. Whether I'd say that at our youth football camps or to my own kids, you can't control a lot of the extracurricular stuff that goes on, where you're from, what your home life's like, what your school's offerings are, but you can control what you can control. Your classes, your grade point average, how you study, your study habits, how you conduct yourself for practices, and that prepares you for the future. So that's our main goal, was to just make kids aware that there is an opportunity to play as long as you prepare for the opportunity.
Yeah, right, that's great. That preparation will get you prepared for anything. So that's a great point. Do we have any student questions yet? No? Okay, I'll keep going. And then whenever you have, okay, you have one, great.
My name is Vaughn, and my question is, how does me attending for 2 different high schools affect my eligibility? Was it changing anything at all from being different high schools?
Yeah, that's a really great question. It doesn't affect your eligibility at all. Just know that if you did attend multiple high schools, that in your NCAA Eligibility Center account, we would need a copy of your transcript from each school. So if you can't get a hold of your previous school to have them uploaded, you can contact your current school counselor, and if they have a copy of your transcript from your previous school, they can upload it for you. And then at the Eligibility Center, we will help them recode it to your previous high school.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This is school, y'all. So this is what we get in school. We get bells. Okay, well, everybody else keep thinking of your questions. So I'll go to Karen again for this one. What role do coaches play in ensuring student athletes are on track academically to qualify for collegiate sports?
So I think all the coaches, the school-based athletic directors, the counselors, the parents, everybody plays an integral part in this. So with our coaches, we want to make sure, and I know that one of the pieces here at Westinghouse is they do have a study table like multiple high schools. And so ensuring that that I say, and I say this all the time, that it's student first. So you're a student before you're an athlete. So them making sure that, supporting you if they're in the building to make sure you're going to class on time, make sure that if you need support in certain classes that they can help you in that realm. So this is a multifaceted approach to make sure that our kids are eligible. And obviously, the coach may not have that knowledge in math, and that's not a knock against them, but they know who they can get to support you to get the help that you need if you need help in, say, that math class or that particular class. So I think that's important.
And I heard a little bit of how counselors can support, but Ms. Woodard, can you say a little bit more how they can ensure the success of this program?
Sure. So counselors are not only making sure that students are right academically, but we also want to make sure that our students are well mentally. So they're connecting you with mental health resources and making sure that you're balancing your commitments. So like Ms. Arnold just said, you're a student first, you're an athlete second. So focus on those academics, but counselors are also making sure that you're able to balance all those commitments and that workload, but making sure that you're also taking care of your mental health, because we know that being a kid today is hard. And so counselors are making sure that you're all set and ready to go.
Yes, and be sure to connect with your counselor, but they're there for you and put them to work. Mike, so how does this program align with the Steelers' broader mission of community engagement?
Yeah, our goal is just to grow and promote the game of football. I mentioned earlier, we encourage all sports, but our main mission is to grow and promote the game of football. And I say I'm in the experience business. If I can get a kid or a parent or a coach to feel what the Steelers are all about and how we do things, that's my biggest thing. So we have, youth football camps. We're the only team in the NFL that puts a Friday night high school game on live TV. The only one that does that. So we do that every week from week 0 all the way through the playoffs. We covered the City League Championship game with Prospect Media, I think, is who did it for us this year. So we want to give the kids an opportunity to touch it and feel it and experience it. We invite the City League champs down to a game. They just came to our big win the other day, so that was good. Thank you for bringing us some good luck. But it's the opportunity for them to experience a Steelers game day, to experience being on TV on a Friday, to see themselves on a Steelers Instagram account, to get them the chance to say, this is something that is not untouchable. These are regular dudes that went to a high school just like you did, that played football just like you did, that just really, really outworked a lot of people. They were all born with natural talent, but at the end of the day, I go back to control what you can control. They put in the extra work. The ones that you see that are really dominant football players in our world, the Cam Haywards, the TJ Watts, they had that talent, but they outwork everybody else in their position too. So if we can show people that you can do that on the football field, basketball court, soccer field, but also in the classroom, you're not going to get A's just by showing up. You're going to get the A's by doing the extra homework, the extra credit, turning your assignments in on time. So if we can have students feel it and then touch and experience everything that goes with it, we're helping to grow the game of football.
So Ivorye, the NFL and NCAA are working to impact student outcomes by increasing relationships with school districts across the country. Can you speak about the importance of partnerships like this in reducing the number of non-qualifiers nationwide?
Yeah, partnerships like this is very important. A lot of times, like I spoke about earlier, is the awareness piece, and not a lot of student athletes have access to this information. And again, Pittsburgh is the first in the nation to do an initiative like this, and then the backing with the Steelers has helped raise awareness as well. But we want to just ensure that student athletes and families have the right resources, have the right tools, know who is a part of the process, because sometimes student athletes will go directly to their coach, but also knowing that that's an excellent resource, but your school counselors are a part of the puzzle too. So from the academic standpoint, understanding the courses you need to take, understanding what GPA you need to obtain in order to be eligible to play at an NCAA school, and knowing the intricacies of academic success, because that does create opportunities for you. The higher your academic performance creates a lot of opportunities for you at the next level. And so just being aware, and the partnership has allowed us to reach so many student athletes and families. Initiatives like this, the podcast, will be able to reach so many to have this information so they're not behind or they are aware of the process.
Thank you. And we have a range of student athletes in our room, and we also have some middle school athletes. So Ms. Arnold, can you tell us about why starting the eligibility education process in middle school impacts students' readiness for college sports? So why start as early as middle school?
So one of the two main goals that I have learned through this process too, I mean, I knew about the Eligibility Center and some of the processes, but two main things. Number one, the first account that you want to open up is free. All you need is an email address. And so we know that a lot of kids have email addresses outside of their Pittsburgh Public School email address, and that's all you need to sign up. So that's the number one thing. The second thing is that it doesn't matter. Your clock starts in 9th grade. It doesn't matter that you may not choose to participate in a sport in 9th grade, but your NCAA eligibility clock starts in 9th grade. So you want to make sure that if you're somebody who is going into the Eligibility Center because you do know you want to play sports, or even maybe play sports, that your counselors have this information so that you're lined up to be in the right courses as you move into 9th grade. Because, and Ivorye can chime into this, that there's a certain point, I believe, at the end of 10th grade or 11th grade that you have to have so many courses, or that's going to create some issues. And you may want to add to this piece too, but that's the two biggest reasons I see. And go ahead.
Yeah, so we have 4 different requirements to be eligible for Division I. And when I talk to and work with school counselors, I say if you have student athletes, set them up to be eligible for Division I, because they'll be eligible for Division II and III, and they'll also, you'll have a lot more opportunities and options that way. But one of the requirements is that you have to complete 16 core courses. And so what that means is when you are meeting the requirements for your high school, you are meeting certain credit requirements, and that is a combination of core and elective courses. At the Eligibility Center, when we look at your transcript, we're only looking at your core courses, so English, math, science, social studies, world language courses. So understanding that you have to complete 16 of those. The other requirement that you mentioned is what we call 10-7. So at the Division I level, if you want to compete, you have to complete 10 of those 16 core courses before you start your 7th semester. So if you are a traditional 4-year student, before you start your senior year, 10 of those core courses have to be completed. 7 of them have to be in English, math, or science. So that's another reason why it's important, if you are sure or even if you are unsure, communicating to your school counselor, because you don't want to say, well, I didn't think I wanted to play, and then your junior year, you're like, I really do want to play because I'm getting these opportunities, and not be prepared. So even if you are unsure, talking to your school counselor so they can get you on track. And then one other requirement is that the GPA requirement. So in order to be admitted into a college or university, they're going to look at your overall GPA, which is a combination of those elective and core courses. At the Eligibility Center, we only look at your GPA in your core courses. So for Division I, you have to have at least a 2.3 core GPA. I have personally seen student athletes who have had a 2.9 overall GPA, but only a 2.0 in their core GPA. And so they would be deemed an academic redshirt at a Division I level. So just the importance of communicating and then checking in regularly with your school counselor.
And also, I believe that the Eligibility Center has removed the SAT, ACT piece as well?
Yes, so as of January of 2023, the NCAA no longer requires student athletes to submit SAT or ACT test scores. However, we do still encourage, because certain colleges and universities still require them to be admitted. And one of the other requirements in order to play at an NCAA level is that you have to be admitted into that college or university before you can compete.
Just wanted to add, so the way that things are set up at PPS is do well in your classes, try your best, pass those classes, and you're going to meet that core requirement for the NCAA. So what Ms. Ivorye is sharing is nothing new. I see a little bit of panicked faces. we're set up at PPS that if you're taking, all those levels of English and math and you're passing those classes, you're going to be fine. But what she's advising is, check in regularly with your school counselor, of course. Make sure you're on that trajectory so that if you do want to play D1 or D2, you're good to go. Okay.
Do we have any student questions? There we go.
My name is Zealand, and will advanced classes boost your eligibility?
Yeah, so if your school or district has a weighted grade scale on file, so say for instance they have an advanced or IB or honors weighted grade scale on their profile with the Eligibility Center, we will award the student athlete that weight. So it could help in your GPA for your core.
And Pittsburgh Public Schools does have that.
Let's go right to the mic.
My name is Nakaya, and I just wanted to know how much does it cost to register with the Eligibility Center?
Yeah, so we have 2 different account types. Well, we have 3, but the first one is a free profile page account. So that's the account type that we encourage student athletes to start with. One, if you're unsure if you want to play at the next level, or maybe you haven't started the recruiting process. And then once you start getting actively recruited, which means that you're getting contact from college coaches, whether it's calls, emails, direct messages, they're inviting you to campus, then you can transition to our academic and amateurism certification account. That is required to compete at a Division I or Division II NCAA school. There is a one-time $100 fee. However, we do have a fee waiver option. So student athletes, when you are registering with that academic and amateurism certification account, before you pay with that credit card, there's criteria that you can, a list of criteria that you can look at to see if you meet. If you meet one of the criteria, click that fee waiver box, and then that's when you will communicate with your school counselor, let them know you registered with the paid account at the NCAA Eligibility Center. They will go in, approve that fee waiver, and then we'll waive it on our end.
My name is Ladarius, and I want to ask why you guys chose Westinghouse, and are there any other schools you guys picked?
No, we picked Westinghouse. Well, it's twofold. I mean, we do our podcast. Actually, we record it here in Westinghouse. I don't know if people who listen and tune in know that, but this is where we record. And we want to get the word out to students, and we just felt like Westinghouse were here, so this is where we should do it.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, my name is Yaya. I would like to know if you fail to meet the requirements for the NCAA, will you be able to try again?
Yeah, so that's a great question. From a Division I standpoint, if you don't meet one or more of the academic requirements, then that doesn't mean that you can't play. So if you complete 16 core courses or you have at least a 2.0 core GPA, you would be deemed an academic redshirt, meaning that you can't compete your first year, but you can still practice your first term and you can receive athletic scholarship your first full year. Now, one thing to note is that when you get to the college level, academics is still important because you still have to meet progress towards degree and other academic requirements to stay eligible. From a Division II standpoint, as long as you graduate high school and you're getting recruited by a Division II school, it's called a Division II partial qualifier. That means you can practice and receive athletic scholarship your first year. You just cannot compete, but you still have the opportunity to practice and then get your grades up, and then next year be able to compete if you meet those grades.
Do I have to pay more next year or the same amount?
So, are you talking about scholarship opportunities?
Yeah.
So scholarship opportunities are at the discretion of the college coach. So when you are going through the recruiting process, making sure you ask those questions. If they are offering you a scholarship, asking how much. because sometimes you may see student athletes say they got a full scholarship to attend a school to play a sport, and that could be a full athletic scholarship, but it could also be partial athletic, partial academic. So just making sure that you're asking those questions when you're going through the recruiting process, and then also asking, if I'm getting this amount of scholarship my first year, is it going to be the same next year, or is it going to be different? So asking those college coaches those questions is important as you make your decision.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have one more question. Okay. Wait a minute. This is great.
Hi. My name is Jasmine Pierre. I wanted to know if you have to be NCAA eligible if you're going to participate in like marching band.
That's a great question. No, marching band is not an NCAA sport. However, the college or university that you go to may offer scholarships for marching band. So it doesn't mean that you can't get financial assistance. You do not need to be registered with the Eligibility Center, the same as cheer. However, there might be scholarship opportunities at those colleges or universities that you go to. So when you are speaking with the marching band director or cheer coach, or any sport or activity that's not an NCAA sanctioned championship sport, asking them about those scholarship opportunities.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess this last question will be for the whole panel. Just how do we see this partnership continuing, and how will we move forward? Anybody can take that.
I guess I'm first. So I think that this is an amazing partnership. I mean, we have conversations, pretty regularly with myself and Ms. Woodard, and then we engage with Mike and the Steelers, and then with the Eligibility Center with Ivorye now, and having those conversations. So it's just a continual cycle of us having these conversations, like what's next. Certainly we're going to reach out and make sure that the schools are where they need to be, especially our middle schools. We've engaged with middle schools, some of our middle schools already. We want to make sure that we're engaging with all of our middle schools so that those students are ready to go as they move out of 8th grade and into 9th grade, and then continuing our support that we have at the high school level for our students as well.
I would agree with Ms. Arnold. The good thing about the program is that there's going to be a new batch of 7th and 8th graders and 9th graders every year. And then there's going to be student athletes that come out for a sport for the first time, and there's going to be some that decide that they don't want to continue to participate. So there's always going to be new opportunities and new ways to interact with the student athletes. The one thing that I do want to stress to anybody in here is that you don't have to know right now in 7th grade or 10th grade that I want to play college athletics. That may not be on your radar yet. But again, to control what you can control and try to prepare yourself to do that, because college athletics and athletics in general, even at the high school level, are great to continue your process of learning. You have a built-in set of friends. You have to be accountable for your time. You have to set goals. You have to achieve certain grade point averages to be able to compete. So we, like I said earlier, as the Steelers, are big fans of any high school sports because it does give student athletes a better chance to succeed, not only now in high school, but in the future. So the future is awesome because we got more kids coming every single year, and we would continue to put this in Pittsburgh Public Schools, but we're also going to add on, other local schools in the Western Pennsylvania area. Maybe not in the same depth of coming into the school and doing certain things like this, because we want to see this program flourish in Pittsburgh Public Schools.
Yeah, I want to echo what both Mike and Karen said, but also, given this information, it's given student athletes access. And so what I challenge you all to do is not hold on to the information, but share it with friends that may not have the access to this information. If you have family members that are in different states or different school districts, sharing this information with them so then they are set up for success as well. With the Eligibility Center, partnering with the Steelers and Pittsburgh Public Schools is great because with the free profile page account, even if you're unsure, maybe you decide, I want to go a different route from athletics, you still get information from us regarding good study habits, hydration, mental health, and other important topics. So if you don't go on to the next level to play a sport, you still benefit from the education that you will receive.
And I would just like to add that I'm just so thankful for this partnership effort because things change. You know, what Ms. Arnold mentioned about the SAT and the ACT no longer being a requirement for the NCAA Eligibility Center, that's relatively new. And so when we receive that information, we're able to share that far and wide, and things like that are important. Ivorye and I were just talking before this started about how things have changed over the years. This used to be called the NCAA Clearinghouse. So some of the parents that might be watching this podcast are thinking, wait, what is this? So things change, and so it's really important for, you know, us as leaders to be in the know so that we can disseminate this information to the students that need this access and deserve to know these things.
Okay, great. We have another question.
My question is, what is your advice for the seniors that is indecisive about going to college for sports?
That's a really good question. Being a former high school track and field coach, and just sitting down with my student athletes, I would just have them make a plan of what they see themselves with the future. What do you want out of your college experience? Is it that you want to be engulfed in your academics and other opportunities on campus? Or do you want to pursue that sport aspect of it as well? Looking at the colleges you might be interested in and seeing, you know, whatever sport that you do play, seeing where you would line up on their depth chart to see if you have an opportunity to play and compete. I will also say walk-on student athletes, so if you're not sure or if you haven't been recruited, they still need to meet the Eligibility Center requirements, so still making sure you're speaking with your counselor and going through that process, but it's okay not to know right now, even if you are a senior, but just making sure that you are doing all the things that you can, like Mike said, to prepare yourself. So if you do decide, or if an opportunity does present itself towards the end of your senior year, that you are, you know, set up for those opportunities.
Do you prefer them to still apply to colleges even if they don't know if they want to go?
To apply to go to colleges if they don't know if they want to go to college?
Yeah, like they're being indecisive about it. They don't know if they do or not. Do you still prefer them to apply to see if they could get accepted into something?
Right.
Yes. You always want to have plans, right? You want to have a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C. So I would encourage students to have options. You know, college isn't for everyone, but if you are doing everything that we've been talking about by keeping up those grades and being a great student athlete, then you should have the grades to be able to apply to some colleges, and that way you just have that option. Because, you know, when you're a senior, you're usually 17 years old, you might not know what you want to do, and that's okay. But your mind might change from November of your senior year to May of your senior year. So you want to be able to go to the next step. So talk to your counselor, talk to your school counselor.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Yes, Ms. Eberhardt is one of our great school counselors here at Westinghouse.
Good morning. Thank you. Can you please further explain a little bit about the recruitment process and what roles like the recruiters would play contacting the students and having access to the Eligibility Center, and if there's any way that a student would then become ineligible, or if there's any type of violation or things like that?
Right, so there are different times of the year when college coaches can have face-to-face interaction with student athletes. So for example, a contact period means that the college coach can have face-to-face interaction with that student athlete and family on or off the college campus. So they can invite you on the college campus, or they can come to your school and talk to you. During a quiet period, the only face-to-face interaction from a college coach and that student athlete and family members is on the college campus. So they can't come to your school, they can't come to your home. A dead period is where there's no face-to-face interaction at all on or off a college campus. So if those things do happen, it could, breach a violation. However, during all those periods, college coaches and student athletes, you can still call, you can still text, you can still email, direct message. I will say, from a recruiting standpoint, if you're interested in a program, but maybe that program or coach hasn't reached out to you, social media is a powerful source. How many of you have an X account? Used to be called Twitter. So what I see student athletes do is in their bio, they put their NCAA ID number. When you register with the NCAA Eligibility Center, every one of you will get a unique 10-digit number. That's the number you're gonna share with those college coaches that you talk to or you wanna communicate with. But they put their NCAA ID number in their bio, their height, their weight, their GPA, their graduating class. And then if you have any highlight reels or huddle tapes or any type of film, you can upload those and tag coaches and programs. If that college coach you're interested in, maybe they don't need or have a room for that specific position, but they may know a coach at a different school that does. And so just knowing that coaches do talk. X is the most popular platform where you see college coaches more active. And so using social media to your advantage and in a positive way can help in your recruiting. One thing that happens behind the scenes with the recruiting process is that if a college coach is interested in you, what they would do is they would submit your NCAA ID number to the Eligibility Center. And what that prompts us to do is do an academic and or amateurism review on the student athlete. And then it's up to that college coach to see if they want to continue on with the recruiting process. So it is, a different process. So your recruiting process is going to look different from yours. Yours is going to look different. So when you see your friends or teammates or family members going through the process and you're like, mine didn't look like that, it's okay because everybody's is different. But just knowing the type of questions to ask and knowing, making sure that when you do talk to these schools, go on their website to see if that's even a school you want to go to. If you know what you want to study in college, seeing if that school offers your major or minor that you want to pursue. So then you have those opportunities to see, okay, this will be a great fit for me, or, thank you, but I think I need to look elsewhere or, see other options. Because you're going to be spending the next 4 to 5 years of your collegiate career at this college or university, and we want to make sure that it is a right fit for you.
Wow, Ivorye, that was a great tip, the X tip. I didn't know about that. So we've learned so much today. Thank you so much to our wonderful panelists. And thank you, students. You guys have been an awesome audience. Everybody applaud yourself. Give yourself a round of applause. We Are PPS, that's what it's called. And I'll be sure to send you guys the link. It'll post on our Facebook page as soon as Dave's done editing it. So be sure to, if you see it on YouTube, be sure to give it a thumbs up so we can get on the algorithm of Spotify. You can listen to it on Spotify. You can also listen to it on iHeartRadio. All right, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of the day. Bye.